Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Estate Advantage. My name is Adam Gullett, and I do appreciate you coming in and checking out this video. So today I'm actually just going to be talking about a stat that I actually was thinking about just the other day. And it's kind of a sad stat in a way in our industry as a real estate agent. And it's really just kind of sad to even stop and even think about this. And the stat is this is that 87% of agents that get into our industry fail within their first 5 years, which is a really, really heavy stat, right? And I think it's actually really sad that that's the case. And I really don't like it, but I think there's a reason for that. And it's not that the people that are getting in this industry are not hardworking and smart individuals. I think it's actually because they follow a lot of the outdated advice that they get from other real estate agents or other influencers, and they try to mimic what they do, right? So today, I just wanted to sit down friend to friend and talk about why that happens. And also, more importantly, how you can be in that other 13% that actually builds something meaningful. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I will say it's one of the most rewarding careers that you can have is being a real estate agent. And I hate that there's a stat that says 87% of agents that get in quit within 5 years because I think they cut themselves short just right at the very beginning there, and they were probably just getting ready to break through. So today, I want to talk about kind of dissect this stat just a little bit and give you 5 reasons why I think this happens and how you cannot be a part of that 87%. So the strategy kind of behind this, right? So let's begin with the number one point that I want to make. And I think this comes down to where most people might treat this industry as more like a hobby than actually a business, right? And that's the reality. I think a lot of people get into this and they think that they can make it because they watched HGTV, they love houses, and they think it's just a great way to kind of get in there and make some extra income on the side. They don't hear things like, it's a flexible work schedule, and they think that it means like less work and it's easier and it just kind of falls into your lap. But look, if you treat real estate that is like it's just a simple hobby, it's going to pay like a hobby, right? So if you're going to treat it that way, then that's the way it's going to be. Where success is going to come inside of real estate is when you start treating it as it's a business. It is a company that you are starting. You're not good in this industry and thinking like being an agent. You get into this industry and you begin to think like a CEO. You think about, I am going into business for myself. I am starting a small business for me, and I'm going to be the CEO of that business. And that means you show up even when your calendar is empty, you show up and you do the things that are extremely difficult, and you begin to structure it in the way you would do if you're starting any kind of business. It's not about getting in and going to work for somebody. That's the 9 to 5 type mentality. And most people get in this industry not realizing that you are an individual contractor and it's not just going to fall in your lap. You've got to grow a business. So, what I always advise people that are, if you were sitting down in front of me right now, friend to friend, right, and you were talking about getting into real estate, I would simply start talking about the whole aspect of running a company and addressing the issues and the challenges that come with a startup. How much time can you survive without actually earning a paycheck? How much money are you prepared to invest in this business to get it started? These are the conversations you need to be having. Who's on your team? What kind of attorneys and CPAs and how are you going to keep track of your finances and where do you spend marketing dollars? These are all those items that will help you grow a business. So I think the number one reason why a lot of people fail in this industry and are part of that 87% is that they think of real estate as just a part-time job or a hobby and they don't treat it like a business. So I would challenge you to treat it like a business. Now, stay until the end. I'll give you some actionable items that I would say do at the very beginning to help you get started in real estate and not be a part of this 87%, and you'll be a part of the 13%, right? That's the goal here. The second reason that I think a lot of people fall into this trap is they chase leads. They go out and they chase every single lead or they start paying for leads versus building authentic relationships. When you start really thinking about what a real estate agent does, it is not necessarily wrong to go out and chase leads. That's fine. If you're pursuing all sources and prospecting and building a database, that's great. But I have seen this many times where agents get into this industry or people get into this industry and they spend all their money on buying what I would call cold leads from a lot of these giant platforms because they see the successful agents that have been in this industry for a long time doing that. Let's be honest, that is a very exhaustive and expensive direction to go if you're just starting out. And that's what happens. A lot of brand new agents get into this industry. They begin to see that, and they want to try to mimic what is working for the top producers, and then they negate actually building relationships. So if you don't want to fall into the 87%, you want to be part of the 13%. It comes down to understanding your sphere of influence, right? Getting the core group of people that are going to use you no matter what. Your close friends and family and serving in the community, those type of things are your sphere of influence. It's not about chasing all of these leads that you see all these top producers doing. If you're just getting started, you lean into building very strong relationships with every single person you come in contact with. That's how you begin to influence them into using your services as a new agent. All right. You have to build trust somewhere. And you're not going to build trust in a cold call and paying for expensive leads. These are people that are probably sending out hundreds of inquiries to a bunch of agents everywhere. And those other agents have resumes, they have reviews, they have scripts that they are very good at delivering, they have negotiation skills to lean on. They are very well equipped at taking a cold lead and converting. Some of them even have entire teams that convert cold leads into sales. You're a brand new agent. The only thing you have is you. You are starting a company. You are all there is. So, what I would encourage you to do is pour into getting a list and a database together of people that use you, that are your friends, that are close to you, and building that sphere of influence. It is a whole lot easier to help a friend or a friend of a friend than some random person that you find on the internet. Number three, I would say the ghosting habit or the lack of follow up is another thing that I see. You've heard this a million times that it says the fortune is in the follow up, right? If you watch any kind of YouTuber out there that talks about getting into real estate, it's like you got to follow up. Matter of fact, one of the biggest complaints that consumers have about real estate agents is that they get ghost to them or they don't hear from their agent in a long time. They don't ever call me. They don't communicate with me. I list my home with them and then I never hear back from them. There's a ghosting habit in our industry that a lot of brand new agents fall into. And that's detrimental if you're trying to just start out and grow a business. So what I would encourage you to do is develop a system of follow-up. You can't over communicate with friends and family that you're working with. So I would take out people to lunch and coffee, talk to them about real estate. And when one of your closest sphere of influences decide to use you as a real estate agent, I would over communicate with them about the entire process. I would stay in communication with them. Don't be nervous. You don't have to have every single answer that someone asks you. You, as a professional, you just got to know where to go to get the answer. So I would master and focus on the follow up. That will help you to avoid being a part of that 87%. Then number four, I'm going to call this like running out of runway. Money is absolutely a huge factor as a new agent. Most agents quit because they actually run out of cash before the pipeline that they have generated matures and they start having closings. So if you know your numbers and you know what those are, you will not spend money on all these other things that you think is going to generate you money and generate sales, right? Because the reality of as a new agent, you could go a few months without actually getting something under contract and closed. So there is a moment there where you need to be very careful on everything that you spend your money on. I would be very inquisitive. I would talk to a lot of agents in my industry that I work with or coworkers and talk to them and ask them for advice on how should I manage my money as a new agent. If you're part of a large brokerage that has coaches and staff and training, lean into those things and ask them questions about how you should be spending your marketing dollars at the very beginning. I've seen a lot of agents get in this industry and just spend money to try to keep up with the agents that are producing. I've seen them go out and buy a very nice fancy car. I've seen it get it wrapped, get that car wrapped. I've seen agents get in this industry and they just are big tech fans, right? And they go out and they embrace every new tech that's coming out and they'll start signing up for subscription fees and all those type of things. I always tell anybody, if you're sitting down in front of me, friend to friend, I would tell you the whole goal here in your first year, especially, spend as little as possible and just connect and build relationships. If you're going to spend money, If you're going to spend money at all on marketing, I would reinvest in the relationships in your sphere of influence that are already going to use you and build that relationship by taking them out to coffee and sharing a meal and all those type of things to basically build up a kind of a small type referral business. That's number 4. I think that would help you to actually extend the chances of you succeeding is being very careful of how you spend money. I would also say this is lean into the training that you find inside of your brokerage. Take every class, ask a lot of questions. Don't be a know-it-all, be a constant state of learning. Don't ever lose touch of that. Number 5, I would say this is losing the human in the technology. A lot of agents get into this industry and they immediately start embracing all of the AI and the automation and all that that brings to the table. Look, don't get me wrong, all those things are very good, but a lot of agents use it as a shield to avoid actually talking to people. It's like a protective measure. I don't want to be uncomfortable, so now I'm going to use this tech to enable conversations to replace my actual ability to communicate with my clients. Your clients absolutely do not want a robot. They want you. They want to connect with you. They want a human who understands the stress of the process of buying or selling a house. They want that engagement. I have seen this in this generation where people get into this industry and they start embracing all this technology and they're excited about all the technology. They come to me and they talk about all the technology and what they're wanting to implement, all these type of things. You wanna know what I tell them? Is like, "How many people have you spoken to today? How many people have you called? How much active listening and prospecting have you done face to face with people?" I don't care how great the technology is, it has its place. It cannot replace you. So as a way to help limit the you being part of that 87% of agents that quit within the first 5 years and being a part of the 13% is be human, communicate, do it all afraid, learn some scripts, adapt them to yourself, get very familiar with what those look like, but ultimately get out there and communicate. Door knock, cold call, relationships, all those type of things. Let them hear you. Now, let me give you some actionable takeaways from this video so you can hopefully take these things and then implement them into your business. What I would say to do first is in your daily schedule, I would block out at least 2 hours every single morning for what I will call proactive outreach to your current sphere. Don't worry about going back and trying to find, all these lead sources and building a bigger sphere. I would build a database of at least 20 people, at least 20 strong people that are friends of yours. 2 hours every single day, I would talk to them, schedule meetings with them, and then try to find more people to add to that database to build a stronger sphere by blocking that time aside. Then as you develop your skills, you can expand that out to different types of marketing tactics. But what you've done there is by setting that 2 hour window aside every single day is you're operating it like a business. You are beginning to shift from what I would call a hobbyist mindset to a business owner discipline because you set a time in your schedule to actively work on building your business. And that's what those 2 hours are for. Highly recommend that. The next thing I would do is I would actually get into your CRM. If you have a contact relationship management software, I would go in there right now. If you're just starting out, I would segment your contacts into a few different categories. And you can tweak this, make it your own. But I would at least have at the bare minimum, you might not have this category, but I would put like a past clients category so you're ready for when that happens. I would create another category that says friends and family. Then I would have another one that says active leads, and I would say passive leads in another group. The passive leads are your drip campaign, someone maybe down the road, you might get an office lead, that goes in there. Your active leads are the people you're actually working on. The friends and family is that 20-person or larger group that is what I would consider your core group. That's where you're going to build your business from. That is where your focus is going to be at first. And then if you have been in this industry for a little while and you have some past clients, figure out a follow-up plan for those past clients to keep yourself in front of them. And what we're trying to look for is we're trying to figure out ways to manage our clients, ensuring that no one in our network feels forgotten or ghosted by us. So you want to figure out a way to address each one of those categories on an ongoing basis. Tons of videos out there. You can check my videos out. I'm adding more and more as we go through this too that can help you come up with ideas to put into your database to help you stay on touch. Also, what I would do is I would actually set up a personal touch outreach. And when I say a personal touch outreach, this is the point where you're going to be differentiating yourself from what everyone else is doing. And that is sending handwritten notes. Handwritten notes. I would set a time aside to at least send out 5 handwritten notes or personalized videos if you want to every single week to the people you haven't talked to, at least in the past month to 2 months. And then think about this. The open rate for an email is marginal. It's hardly even to your closest sphere. Only 8 to 10% might actually even open the email that you send them in a drip campaign. But what happens when you send a handwritten note through the mail? They see it all handwritten, 100% open rate on those. And most agents aren't taking the time to do that. And how much does that cost you? Just a stamp. Way cheaper than building leads, right? And in those letters, you can just simply say, hey, look, just remind you I'm in real estate, would love to help you somehow. And just tell them about your life a little bit. Be personal with them and just say, hey, just want to drop you a note and check in and see how you're doing. Please reach out anytime if I can be of help. Nothing complicated. You might even want to just get some quick little note cards with envelopes, keep a roll of stamps. You just write it out and send it out the door within your database. That prioritizes a high touch human interaction. So, this is a good way to win the day. So, here's the thing, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of this and this business and everything else, just remember this. This business isn't about the 100 people who don't know you, it's about the 10 who do. That's who you focus on. You focus on the 10 that know you. You serve them extremely well, and you build the relationship extremely well with them. The rest will follow that. That's all I got for you today. Thanks for hanging out with me today on the Real Estate Advantage. If this has helped you in your real estate business, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I'd love to keep this conversation going. I will see you in the next one. Take care.